thank you, Mick, for agreeing to be part of the Veterans Wellbeing Centre Hornsby video documentary called My War Never Ends. And it's a documentary about veterans suffering from PTSD. So thanks for getting involved, mate.
Pleasure.
That's fine. Now, you and I both served in Vietnam together, both in the same tank crew, actually. So it's good to catch up with you again. And thanks for giving your time, mate, please.
That was only 50 years ago.
50 odd years ago, yeah. So the actual video that we're putting together, or the documentary, is about the 4 different veterans and their issues with PTSD and how they cope with it.
George.
Gary,
Welcome to the Salmon Point boat shed.
Well done,
thank you.
Good to see you.
Gary, thank you very much for providing the pontoon today for us to do our video. Mate, what's the name of this place?
Salmon Point boat shed, Port Macquarie.
Mate, you've got a lot of gear in here.
Yes, we do provide for the fishermen and also for the community with snacks also.
Right.
We've got canoes and kayaks, and of course, as you say, the pontoon boats, and a few fishing boats to throw into.
Mate, this is amazing. Never seen so much stuff in one small venue. You've got everything from fishing hooks to bloody fishing rods to outfits to wear. Mate, it's fabulous.
Don't forget the thongs.
And don't forget the thongs.
This is one of the few of my first jobs I had
Yeah.
that I've actually stuck with more than 2 days.
No.
This way to the pontoon.
Okay. The pontoon.
Here it is, our life station.
No, mate, you're doing a good job. Come on, it's fabulous. Perfect. Perfect. Mick, thanks for organising the pontoon, and what a venue to do our documentary in. Mate, this is fabulous. Thank you for all this.
My pleasure. This is my backyard.
I know. And thanks for agreeing to be part of this video at the Veterans Wellbeing Centre at Hornsby. Our war, or my war never ends. It's all about PTSD, as you know. And you and I served in Vietnam together in the tank crew.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, when we were both very young men. You were the gunner and I was the driver, and we had the other boys, of course, as part of the crew. Now, what I would like you to do is just talk about your service and the time, probably from prior to Vietnam right through to when you're discharged, and then we'll have a bit of a Q&A on that, then get into the PTSD. So, you joined up when you were a young lad?
I was 17. I joined, finished high school.
Yep.
And finished that in October 67. Oh, yeah, October, November. Joined the Army January 68. Recruit training. Then they sent me to medical corps.
Yep.
It took me 6 months to get a corps transfer back to Armoured Corps. I want to be a tank driver, and the Pommy Major said, no, you're going to be a gunner SIG. And I did the training up with, went to a regiment, did the field training.
Because you and I both trained together
Both trained
prior to
together.
Vietnam.
Yeah, A Squadron, when we went bush there.
Yep.
And then I had that little accident with my finger, so which delayed me going to Vietnam a couple of months after you.
So when we're in Vietnam, I know we had quite a few contacts and various operational incidents, but was there anything during our time over there that might have started the ball rolling with your PTSD?
At the time, I didn't think about it. It was just part and parcel of doing your job.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until after I got out and the wheel started falling off, and I sort of wondered whether it was anything there that sparked things off.
Yep.
There's little things like crowds used to set me off.
This is
Loud.
after you're discharged?
Yep.
Yeah. So during your service,
No,
you didn't have many issues?
well, apart from drinking.
Yeah, but that's soldier thing.
Yes.
So you're out, and then all of a sudden...
Got into Civvy Street and it was total chaos because they didn't have, like now, the transition out and there's a program for it. Then it was just, I'm out, I'm into Civvy Street, went to the CS, and they said, oh, what are you after? I said, I'm after a job. What do you got going? And they said, oh, well, here, fill out the paperwork and get the dole while you wait. I said, no, I can't get the dole. I want a job.
Yep.
Oh, what did you do? I had 20 years in the army. So what are you qualified at? Killing people at long ranges.
No.
I didn't see the humour in that.
No.
So I had 17 jobs in 4 years, cleaning, security, making orange juice, and the longest one was working with Gary out the boat shed there for a few years, cleaning boats and just dog spotty around the place.
So you really had issues, because I know you said a bit earlier, and I've interviewed other young veterans who are getting out now. There's actually a transitional officer that helps them out. There's finance to get them onto courses. And our day was just cut up your ID card and walk out the door.
Yeah, well, the last thing you saw was the pay rep down in Sydney. And it was, you're out of the army now, mate. There's no bands, no farewells, there's the door. I thought, oh, that's not bad after 20 odd years.
Now, did you come up to port then?
Yep.
Straight up to port?
Yeah, we bought a block of land here about 6 or 8 months beforehand.
Yep.
I got up here on Anzac Day, 1988, Anzac Eve I should say. We had the block of land and then the builder started June.
Yep.
And we were in by Christmas.
All right.
Yeah. And then I started looking around part-time jobs as cleaners. Just garbage jobs really.
Because really, being in tanks and armoured corps doesn't really set you up for a job in Civvy Street.
No, but what I've realised since is it's man management.
Yep.
Like, I worked for one cleaning mob, the bloke that owned it, his brother-in-law worked there, and 2 other blokes. They've been working together for 5 years.
Yep.
And within 3 weeks I was running the crew.
Yep. And you're right.
No extra money, but it was
because
just easy to organise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was, I realised later that organisation was one of the skills.
Man management.
Man management and organisation was probably the only thing that transitioned out of it, because tank crewmen and tanks had been up and related.
Okay, so you're up in port, you built the house, you and Judy are settling in.
Yep.
You're having issues. You're having issues trying to find employment. So, what was another trigger that might have got you going?
I don't know. Well, I didn't have trouble finding employment. I found the trouble of employment that was meaningful.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, getting up and cleaning the same floor at Dunny 7 days a week at 4 o'clock in the morning is
not fun.
No.
Well, when did you realise you started having some issues with? You probably wouldn't have known it was PTSD in those days.
No, I had a short fuse.
Yeah.
But I think I'd have always had that, but it got really, really short. And I'd be short with the kids.
Yep.
Something was go wrong, I'd just blow up.
Yep.
And one day, I don't know, I wasn't having a good day. I ended up in the walk-in road with a bottle of port, and I wasn't going to come out until the world was fixed.
Yep.
And that's when Judy got hold of the Vietnam vets out of War Hope, and Chris Davies was one of the advocates. And he come out and got me out of the wardrobe, and we sat down and talked about things. And he said, well, have you done anything about it? About what? And that was when it all started, about 91.
So that's when you
92.
realised that it was something was causing these issues.
Yeah, I couldn't fit into Civvy Street because they were weird people.
Well, especially when you joined the army at 17, like I did, and you've had 20 odd years of organisation. You know where you're going. You know what you're doing. You know
what
where
our bloke's doing.
Yeah, and everything seems to be fine. And all of a sudden, you get out, because I know in our day there was no real resettlement. You had the option to go to one if you wanted to, but no one kind of really cared. You've done your time, goodbye. So you're out here, you're having issues, you're hiding in the wardrobe, and you're drinking port, and someone says to you, Mick, I think you've got a problem. So did you go and get some medical help?
That stage, yeah, I got sent to see a psychiatrist.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all right. And he said, we'll just put you on some medication and that.
Right, yeah.
It sort of worked. And in the Mayo private hospital down in Taree, they had an excellent psych ward there and psych people running it. And Marty Warren, she was a psych nurse and she worked out at, what's that big one in Sydney?
What, Concord Hospital?
Yeah, psych.
Yeah.
Where all the veterans used to go.
Concord?
Yeah.
Anyhow, we're gone.
Well, she got her training there with World War One and
that's
early
Concord
Vietnam
Hospital.
vets.
Yeah.
And she was absolutely excellent. So she was running, or they were running courses at the Mayo every Friday. PTSD, mindfulness, anything they could think up, just to keep us coming every week. So there was I think there was about a dozen of us, and that went on for about 6 years.
Did that help?
It did. While it was running, as soon as it stopped, there was nothing.
So she's actually taking you through all that mindfulness and that well-being business.
Yep.
You got some medication to keep you going.
Yep. Regular visits to the shrink and the psychologist.
Okay. So what about DVA and all this time?
Chris got the ball rolling as far as the paperwork went, and I think it went from, I think it was nearly 3 years from start to finish. First off, I got, PTSD, hearing, and my back. From lifting engine jacks and normal stuff. Sent me to the specialist for that. No, that's just normal wear and tear. I was, well, I come out of school, I was in the army, and now I've got to cook back. Yeah, that's just normal wear and tear.
Oh, yeah, well, it's not right.
Up my PTSD, and I got my gold card eventually.
Okay.
TPI. Which was sort of lifted a lot of weight off my shoulders because I sort of...
Well, let's come back a bit. So you've got diagnosed as having PTSD from previous service.
Yeah, well, it actually, while I was at DNS Wing at Armoured Centre in 1983, Vietnam Veterans Counselling Service was just starting up in Melbourne.
Yep, BCS,
Yep, and Judy said, there's something wrong with you, better go get some help. And she phoned him up and organised an appointment.
So you were still serving?
I was still serving.
Right, okay. And Judy realised there were some issues?
Yep.
Drinking
and anger.
Yep.
So I went down there thinking that, and all the Sheila wanted to know was, so what was Vietnam like? So how many people did you kill?
No.
So that was my first attempt at finding out what was going on.
All right. So you were aware towards the end of your military career that you had an issue somewhere, but you couldn't put your finger on it.
Yep.
And then you went down to VCS and they weren't very helpful either. So then you just kind of let things slide until you got out.
Yep.
And now you're out again. You're up in Port and now you've been down to Taree.
Yeah, I've had 3 in sessions as an inpatient for a couple of weeks at a time.
So what happens there? When you talk about inpatient, that's to get things like medication sorted, things like that, or what?
The last one was just to get medication sorted. There was either a 3-month changeover at home, or 7 days in the hospital.
Okay, well,
He said, well, you're not staying at home changing your pills for 3 months.
yeah. Well, let's go back to the first time you went down there. So you've now been diagnosed with PTSD, you've got your gold card, you become TPI, which means you're totally permanently incapacitated and you can't work because of your PTSD, right?
Yep.
Okay. When did you go down for your first, I suppose, in-house treatment, like...
What was the first one?
Would it have been something that the psych recommended that you should do? Would you say, look, I think you need to change your meds, you need to go inside
Well,
and...
it wasn't a change of medication, but I think they had a live-in course.
Yep.
Run over a fortnight or whatever,
Yep.
but you're an inpatient, so
Yep.
they could monitor you
Yep.
24/7, and they were doing all these mindfulness and
Yep.
all the
Yep.
bits and pieces and that. Yeah, that was the first one.
Okay.
The next one, the wheels fell off, and that's it. Go and have a reset down the Mayo.
Yep, okay. So when you say the wheels fell off, just things weren't getting any better? Things were going down the hill?
Yeah, brain wasn't functioning right. I couldn't make
Yep.
a decision if my life depended upon it. I was getting angry and cranky.
Okay, so the meds really weren't working.
No.
And then, of course, you go down for your second run, and then you end up with a third run, and that was to change your medication now.
change.
And is that working for you?
So far, he's also the 4th psychologist I've had.
Okay, right.
The first 2 retired from old age.
Yep.
And the next one, he got disbarred. And the one I've got now, he's the one that says, oh, I've got this new program.
Yep.
I'll feed in all this data, and it'll tell you what you should be on.
As in what meds you should be on? Yeah.
And he said, oh, that's weird, because this is an old one, but it's right down on the scale. And he said, oh, what, we'll give it a try. Come in, we'll change it over a week. And took maybe 3 weeks. That's much better.
So when you're in there for a week, they just slowly take you off the current meds and then slowly introduce the new meds and just monitor you, make sure you don't go crazy and jump off the balcony, all that kind of stuff. So then you do your week, and then they say, okay, here's your new medication, here's your new scripts, away you go. Have you got any ongoing follow-up from these people? Do you have to initiate it, or...?
I got a 3-monthly appointment with a psychologist. Psychiatrist, sorry.
Psychiatrist,
And we've got a psychologist and go and see her every once in a blue moon.
So a psychiatrist is the one that can issue scripts for medication.
Psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist, yep. And the psychologist is someone you talk to and work with. Okay, that helps you through your day-to-day.
Yeah.
All right, so you've had your 3 trips away, you're mad as a meat axe, so you've got these meds. I can only say that because I know you, and I've known you for 53 years.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah, you're all right, and it's kind of, it's like the other vets I talk to as well. It's just an ongoing thing. I know I had some issues many years afterwards, and when we got together on previous occasions and with some of our tank crew, they'd mentioned things about this contact you've been in. Well, I couldn't remember the contacts that we've been in and some of the issues that we faced while we were in Vietnam and post-Vietnam. So I don't know whether... I think a lot of this is subconscious, really, that comes through, and I don't think you really know that it's in there until something tends to trigger it, you know? And yours would have been, getting out and trying to settle into Civic Street, perhaps?
Yeah, I think so. And then 2011, 40 years later, Judy said, how about we go to Vietnam?
Yeah. Well, tell me about that. Yeah, you've done a few trips back there.
I'm going on my 6th trip next year.
Okay. Well, isn't there a story about someone you met on the beach or something at one time you tell me about?
That was the 2nd time we went. Yeah. Well, there was a couple of occasions. Like, you remember that contact we're in, and then there was a photo of
us 3 sitting on that bamboo seat amongst all the bunkers. Yeah.
It was the 2nd trip I went over. I had a mate who was a national service but never went.
Yep.
He was with us, and we went to the Coochie tunnels.
Yep.
And had a look around all there. And in the clearing is a bamboo seat. And it was just sort of an instant
Flashback?
I'm back there. What I didn't know was behind the jungle, behind there, was a rifle range, and they opened up with an AK-47. And I hit the deck.
Yep.
I was instantly back there. You know, so, and luckily a mate was with me. He said, "Come on, you're all right, it's not there, it's not then, it's now." You know, oh, thank goodness for that. And then, we were Phil, and we were up at Hoi An.
Yep.
And we got a Vespa motorbike tour around the countryside, and we, at the end of the day, pulled up on China Beach. And there's a little thatched shack and that, we had lunch. And as I was walking out, turned around, there's this little old Vietnamese guy, and he's just this sort of... I know, you meet other veterans, it doesn't matter where they're from, but...
You know they're a veteran,
You know, and I asked the guide, I said, could you ask him if he was in the war? And the old fella nodded, and I started walking to him. I started crying. We couldn't speak each other's language, but we had a big hug.
Oh, lovely,
we
yeah.
both walked away crying.
Oh, wow.
And it was sort of, I got back to Saigon, our guy, lady over there that we booked all our tours through, and she come to the hotel one day, and we'd been at Reunification Palace or somewhere, which had displays of all the stuff from that era. And I said, you know, I was sitting on the front step of the hotel with a beer and a cigarette, and said, "You don't look happy." And I said, "Oh no, I'm really sorry about what we did when we're over here." And she's only a tiny little Vietnamese. She just put her arm around me, and said, "It was 40 years ago. It's not your fault. We're over it." And it was sort of a, but yeah, just every now and again something will happen, a loud bang, or unexpected, and I'll jump into my skin.
Yep. Well, I hear that regularly. I mean, other vets I've spoken to have issues sitting in rooms that are closed, or they're sitting in a bar or a restaurant. They like to sit so they can see the door. Just little things like that. I've noticed that guys get that way.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of it until somebody told me about it.
Yeah. Well, it's like one of our other tank crew mates, Gary, you know, he was saying that he had those issues when he came back from Vietnam, and many, many years later he was at a function and someone said, "You're a vet." And he said, "Yeah, well, how can you tell?" He said, "Well, you're sitting by yourself, you're not getting involved, you're kind of sitting by the door." So I don't know, I guess other people might pick it up. So now you're in Port Macquarie, you're pretty well got your PTSD under control, or managing it with your medication, and your exercise at the gym is another thing you're doing.
Yeah, I think we'd be lost without that, because we're all vets from different services.
Yep.
We all started on the heart health program 3 years ago.
Yep.
When that finished, we said, well, how can we keep this going? And the physio we were working through, they set it up so that get our D904s, all go to the gym twice a week.
That's good,
Yeah, twice a week.
Yep.
They said, we don't care, this is your program.
Yep.
Do as hard or as soft as you want it, as long as you put in some effort.
Yep.
Said, if you want to go away and have coffee for our 3 hours, that's just as good.
Yeah, of course, social.
So there's about a dozen of us.
Great.
And it's, well, it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. There's 3 hours of the day that's
good.
Yeah. And you can talk with other vets without having to worry if you're going to upset somebody or say the wrong thing.
Yeah, a good
We're all on
social
the same wavelength.
interaction, amongst veterans.
Yeah, and we've all been mates ever since. Yeah,
That's good.
like a bit like it was when we were in.
Any of those guys got PTSD? Sorry, mate, you got a mouthful of chicken.
All of them,
All of them, yeah.
to different degrees.
Yep.
One little rappy chappy, he was aero medic. He's got it really bad. James. There's 2 cab blokes, both national servicemen. Bill Starenberg, he was Ramey, but he ended up at Coral.
Yeah, well, fire support base Coral, yeah.
Yeah, and he was a national serviceman. Yeah, when the pun was on.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you an unusual thing. I was taking care of a veteran in one of my jobs, and he was in the Navy, and he was actually attached to American warships in the Gulf, of all things. And he had PTSD, and I said, well, how do you get PTSD when you're in the Navy? He said, I used to sit at the control panel, and I used to fly the drones, and I used to drop the missiles, where they were, the bombs, into the people. He said, I was killing children. I could see it on my camera. And he said, that's what really got my PTSD going. He said, even though I wasn't physically there with them and shooting like you might have been, he said, but I was dropping bombs onto families and kids. He said, it really got to me. So yeah, I guess it affects everybody differently.
Well, really, there's a doco on that.
Yeah.
Yanks flying their drones over Iraq or wherever it was, and they're 4,000 miles away sitting in a Connex.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're going home with PTSD.
Yeah, saw that. Well, look, mate, I think we just about covered most of the PTSD issues that you might have or haven't got or will get. So thanks very much, mate, for organising all this. And for being involved in the doco, and it's great to catch up with you again after all these years. Now, we've got some greasy chicken fingers here, but you want to lick my fingers as well? Mate, thank you very much. Good to see you. Okay, well done.
It's mateship is something, military mateship is something that civvies don't understand.
No.
You might not see somebody for 40 years and it's, bang, it's like all that time has disappeared.
Yep.
Probably the best time I had was the 7 years when we went travelling around Australia. No, that was probably the bestest time.
Well, Mick, greasy fingers, but thank you very much for taking part of the video and letting everybody know your story. It's quite important. Now, at the end of this video, we will post contact details for anyone that needs help. Places like Lifeline and Mates for Mates and DVA. So that'll all run at the end of the video. So once again, mate, you've been tops. Great to catch up with you again. Thank you.
No worries. I hope it helps somebody.
I'm sure it will, mate.